Hey everyone, this is Mrs. Sparrow. I'm going to be walking you through today's lesson, which is adding and subtracting mixed numbers, word problems. The smart code for today is X8C. X8C. The problem reads, Josie takes a piece of wood that is 1 1/5 inches thick and glues it to a piece of wood that is 2 2/5 inches thick. Together, what is the thickness of the two pieces of wood? Write your answer as a fraction or as a whole or a mixed number. So again, today's lesson is about adding and subtracting. So we need to decipher from the word problem whether we're adding or subtracting here. The best way to do this is to visualize like we used to do in class. So if I have a piece of wood, I'm gluing it to another piece of wood. Is that getting smaller? Is it getting larger? What's happening? I'm actually putting two pieces together, so it's getting larger. If it's getting larger, I'm adding those pieces together. So I know I need to add these fractions. So since I need to add them, this one is pretty simple. We can just use some mental math because our denominators are the same. We don't have any fractions greater than 1. They're both mixed numbers. So we can do 2 plus 1 gives you 3. Put a space, and then we have 2 plus, so your numerators, 2 plus 1 gives you 3. And then your denominators stay the same over 5, 3 3/5 inches, 3 3/5. Okay, our next problem reads, Kim and her sister went together to get haircuts. Kim got 5 5/12 inches cut off, and her sister got 3 1/12 inches cut off. Compared to her sister, how much more hair did Kim get taken off? Okay, so again, we need to visualize what's happening. You could even put yourself in the problem. Okay, I'm getting my hair cut, so is my sister. What I cut off 5 5/12. My sister cuts off 3 1/12, and they want to know who cut out more. So again, we can see words like compared. So compare, contrast, how much more. Those symbols and also visualizing it can tell you that we are subtracting here. Now, subtracting is always a bit more trickier than adding, but this one again is simple. You can kind of do mental math. Here's why. The 5 is going to go on top, so 5 5/12, 3 1/12. So we're going to do 5 minus 1 is 4. Denominators stay the same, and 5 minus 3 is 2. So 2 4/12. Okay, I'm going to jump a level so we can get to some tougher problems. So here we have at the hillside zoo's bug exhibit, Jenna watched a millipede crawl for 10 1/3 minutes. Stay still for a while and then crawl for 1/3 of a minute more. How much total did Jenna spend watching the millipede crawl? Okay, so we know how much total is telling us we're going to be adding. So we have 10 1/3 and another third. That's again pretty simple here, even on this next level. So we're going to have 10 2/3. Oops. Awesome. Okay, let's skip up a level. So I have the capability of skipping up a level. That way, you're not going to get stuck at 40, 60%. I'm going all the way up to the challenge questions to be sure that you can do all different levels of the questions. All right, here we have Brandon's landscaping ordered 16 3/5 tons of bark and used 9 1/10 to landscape a new park. How much bark does the company have left? So first I'm going to visualize, then I'm going to use my context clues. So I'm landscaping and I'm ordering some bark, but we've used some of it already to landscape the park. So if we use something, that means it's gone. And if we use something, that means we're subtracting. Okay, also let me use my vocabulary words to see if that helps me as well. Here we have, how much does the company have left? So that's telling me, we're looking for what's left. So with that, we know that we need to subtract. This one is a little bit more difficult, so I am going to write it out. I suggest that you write out my notes as well. And when the problems get more difficult for you, write it out. That's going to make it much easier, and try not to do it mentally. So give me a minute to do that. Okay, so our problem was 16 3/5. We determined that we're subtracting. So when we're subtracting especially, we want to kind of write it like a normal subtraction problem, up and down. What we'll notice is something really important, that our denominators are not the same, and that can't be. So what we need to do is determine, okay, what could our common denominator be? I always try to look at the smaller number first to see if I can make it the same as my larger number, and I can. I can multiply 5 times 2 to give me 10. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to multiply times 2 equals 10. Whatever I do to the bottom, I do to the top. 3 times 2 gives me 6. I'm going to rewrite my problem. 16 6/10 and 9 1/10. And luckily for me, nothing difficult left to do here. We're just going to do 6 minus 1, which is 5/10. And then 16 minus 9, which is 7. And then 5/10 can be simplified further to 7 1/2. So again, my suggestion for you is to write all of this work down. It might be hard to remember it when you have to do it yourself. So write it down and then you'll have it as your notes. Try not to do these just by clicking. You're not going to get it right. You have to show your work. You have to put in the effort on these. Okay, now for our next problem. Okay, this is the last one. Over the weekend, Rosa drank 1 7/10 bottles of soda. So I'm going to write that down. And Gary drank 1/6 of a bottle. How much more soda did Rosa drink than Gary? So we can tell from our words that we have how much more and than, which is another comparison term, so that we're seeing subtraction here. We see that Rosa drank a certain amount and then Gary drank a certain amount, and we want to compare them. Now this is 89. I'm trying to get to that 100, so it's going to be a little tougher. So let's do the work together. We'll bring up that screen. Okay, so again, we're subtracting. Here's my piece of paper. Hold on, my pen writing. 1 7/10 subtracted by, or 1/6 is going to be subtracted from that. Again, we have the same problem we had last time, where our denominators do not match. So we need to think, well, there's nothing that I can do to get from 6 to 10. So I need to think, what other common number do they share? Common multiple. So we could do our least common multiples here. So I'm going to count by tens. 10, 20, 30. I think 30 might be a multiple. And then let's try this. 6, 12, 18, 24, 30. Ding, ding, ding. I found my new common denominator. So that's what I'm going to rewrite. Let's see. So we have 1 7/10. We know that our new denominator, we want to make it into a 30 10 times what gives me 30? 10 times 3, whatever I do to the bottom, I do to the top. 7 times 3 gives me 21. So I now have 1 and 21 30ths. And then here we have 1 6. So we're going to change that to 30. 6 times what gives me 30? Times 5. Whatever I do to the bottom, I do to the top. 5 over 30. So that's going to give me this over here. And luckily, one might say, oh, I need to change this. You can, but you don't have to. You can just keep it like this. So we have 21 minus 5, which is 16. We know I keep our denominators the same, especially after we work so hard to get it. We keep it the same. And then 1 minus essentially 0 is 1. So you have 1 and 16 30ths.